I could go for more seltzer.
Patreon just gave me an error 504 gateway timeout.
Oh, I love that.
Ooh, counterpoint. I don't love that. Let's debate.
No, yeah,
Crossfire.
God, I can't. I don't ever want to think about thing in my life. Oh my god.
All right, did that publish? Let's find out. No. Is it saved as a draft? No. I love
that sounds like Patreon.
Wait, now it says it posted.
Oh, okay. That's great.
I'm going to click the view button and see if it shows up.
Is Crossfire the one with Bill Maher before he got fired?
No, that was politically incorrect. Or is that his current one? That's then it was like it had like a real
same idea, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
What was it? It was like no, the current one is Real Time with Bill Maher. The previous one was politically incorrect. Yeah. The one that the Crossfire I think was Paul Begala and Tucker, right?
Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, that was Tucker Carlson.
And what's his face with the fucking big head?
Tucker Carlson?
James Garfield. And I don't know who the other or Carville. I don't remember who the other Republican was on that show. It's like miserable. Like these are all literally people from those like political eras where they had literal
is this now? Is it rerunning or because these are people that I didn't think that it would have
relaunch it
because it says here on Crossfire America TV program starring on the left Stephanie Cutter and Van Jones.
No, that version of the show seems to have stopped at 2014.
Okay,
I think.
And then on the right, Newt Gingrich and S.E. Cupp.
Yeah, great.
Who I know from when I worked at California Pizza Kitchen. She was on that all the time. Because we always had the news on, I guess.
I thought you meant on the Pizza Kitchen.
No, like the TVs the people at the bar could see, we always had like CNN on.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, well, unless there was a sports game on, then it would be the sports game.
Okay.
Or really football. If football was on, it was that. If not, then it was CNN.
This seems to have worked. Hey, everyone in the chat. Patreon is not working great lately. And so we're going to give it a few more minutes as people filter in. Because, just basic pages aren't loading. Yeah, I got you. Give me a sec. Boom. Okay, we should do a time.is.
Oh, right, that's a thing.
That's a thing.
I was like, I got all my tabs open. Oh, it's World Animal Day.
Aww.
Hey.
Congratulations to animals.
Yeah,
congrats animals. You did it.
Another year.
For now.
That's all you get. Another year.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Miserable world. All right. Top of the minute. Does that work for y'all?
Yeah.
Got some time, kind of stretch a little.
Shake it out.
Yeah. It's fine. It's live. I'm basically going to use the OBS.
That sounded sick to me.
Good.
I heard.
Okay, that's
when
good.
When everyone else's came in, it was one unified clap.
I wasn't supposed to show this screen off yet. I was supposed to show off this. This screen's nothing either, huh? What was I going to do? I was going to take a screenshot of. Let's see here. Check this out. I'm going to grab
blank. A nice blank.
A nice blank. Okay, real quick. Camping at night or adventuring across the mountains.
Oh, that's tough.
Vibe check.
Camping at night.
Yeah, camping
That's
at
my
night.
vote.
Okay.
I can do that.
Take that screenshot. Then come over here and put that over here, and then hit save and type camping at night, and then go into my pictures folder by clicking on pictures, and then getting camping at night, and then dragging it over here, uploading. That's science right there. Boom. And then also, oh yeah, you're on this page. You're on this page. There you go. Camping at night. That's what we're doing now. All right, I should be able to. I should do like an intro, huh? Where's the thing on Roll20 that lets me get rid of the grid? Boom. Do you ever say like, "Where's the blank?" when you absolutely know where the blank is, and you're just kind
all
of
the
like,
time.
Isn't that a whole advertising campaign built on that?
"What?"
Oh, the beef.
The beef.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that lady
Yeah.
didn't know where the beef was. She was looking for
Didn't
the beef.
she? I don't know. I don't actually
I
remember
always thought that maybe she did know.
Why'd she go to that
She
restaurant?
was in the
then?
commercial for it.
Yeah, but
It was for a restaurant?
isn't it?
For Wendy's?
It's for like,
I don't-
yeah,
is
that's
it
the whole
Wendy's?
thing.
Okay.
She goes to like the leading fast food restaurant, and they don't have enough beef. Their patties are tiny, and so
Yeah.
she goes. to
Okay,
this
but there's
other
still
place.
beef in it. Like it's
Yeah,
she's
but
being
where is it?
sarcastic. She knows it's right there. It's just not enough for you.
I don't think that's sarcasm. I think that's something else. Like when I say like there's not enough air in
Spite?
here. When I say there's not enough air in here, I don't mean like to breathe. I mean like I would like more airflow. But there is enough air in here. So she's like,
But you wouldn't say, "Where's the air in here?" It's in
but
here.
if I did, you would know that I didn't mean. Where is it? I can't see it.
Although that is a good point. We can see the beef.
Yeah, it's right there.
But there's
But
not
where
as
is
much. But where is it?
But where
I
is
ordered
it?
a hamburger, a beef hamburger.
This beef needs more airflow.
I need more air in this beef.
So can we get a little beef flow in here?
1984, which I suspect is before any of us were born, is when that
Yeah.
campaign started.
I was not
So,
born.
Yeah.
I was close, but not there. I like that Wikipedia says, since then it's become an all-purpose phrase questioning the substance of an idea, event, or product.
Has it though?
People are always saying, where's the beef?
I'm
People
hearing
are
it
always
all the
walking up to
time.
me and asking, "Where's the beef?"
Where's the beef?
People know where the fucking beef is with me. It's like, it's right fucking here. You know what I'm beefing with.
Check my Twitter.
Yeah, please. All right. Welcome to Live at the Table, an actual play live stream focused on critical world building, smart characterization, and fun interaction between good friends. I am your host, Austin Walker. Joining me today, Sylvi Claire.
Hi, I'm Sylvia. You can find me on Twitter at SylviSurfer, and you can listen to my other show, Emoji Drome, wherever you get your podcast.
I'm sorry for using a cadence there that sounded like you were driving to the bass line.
It's okay. It
But I
really
absolutely
surprised
did.
me.
Also joining us, Keith J. Carberry.
Hi, my name is Keith Carberry. You can find me on Twitter at Keith J. Carberry. You can find the Let's Plays that I do at youtube.com/runbutton. We just did a big session of a lot of Silent Hill Homecoming. It's our first time recording more Silent Hill since
I'm
the
very
start of the
excited.
pandemic. We've also got Shenmue 2 going up on the Patreon, contentburger.biz.
I'm very excited to watch both of those. So I'm keeping up. I'm keeping up with all those Let's Plays. Contentburger.biz. Where's the beef?
Where's the beef with this content
It's at
burger?
fuckdads.com.
It's at
is
Shenmue.
where-
It's in Shenmue 1.
It's Shenmue 1. That's where the beef is. Tom has it. Oh no. Also, that was the voice of Janine Hawkins.
Hey, I'm Janine Hawkins. You can find me at Bleating Heart on Twitter. I almost said on YouTube, and that's
Well.
true. You can find me there this month and never the rest of the year. Only this month on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, playing a little bit of Dragon's Dogma for Halloween.
Hell yeah.
Ooh.
Which hour that I can get behind and also get onto sometimes as I crash your stream and talk about Dragon's Dogma and give you tips.
Yeah, that was fun.
I will continue to do that occasionally, I promise. Janine, you know what I love about you is you are one of the rare people on this the only other person on this call who does not have another form of their name that they say when I say the other one, the way
Yeah.
that when I say Keith J. Carberry, Keith says Keith Carberry, and when I say Keith Carberry, Keith says Keith J. Carberry, and likewise Sylvie and Sylvia always makes me feel some sort of way. I don't even know. Allie does it
I have
too.
been doing
Allie
it
does
for
too.
years, pretty much on purpose.
Well, I'm glad you are. Allie doesn't know that she does it, so it's
I
fine.
don't
Aw.
either.
It's you know what I
I've
actually
been doing
think
it
is,
as a joke.
I think
a
it's
long,
actually a
slow
good
joke.
impulse in the same way that I don't like to use the same word twice in two adjoining sentences as a writer, and it's like a natural instinct not to repeat the same exact sounds. So I think that's a good performer instinct right there. Today,
What you're telling me is that I should start introducing myself as Nadine Hawkins, which is for some reason the thing that people call me most when they're wrong about my name.
only if you start cosplaying Nadine from Twin Peaks. Get yourself.
I don't remember who that is.
The
Eye patch lady.
eye patch lady curtain
right.
runners,
Yeah, she's-
super
yeah.
strong.
Right,
Occasionally,
yeah, she's cool.
has superpowers.
She's just
Sometimes
like a,
in the
just
past-
a superhero. She's just
Yeah.
fully a superhero living her life.
Nadine, shout outs to you, Nadine. I'm glad you found happiness in the end. God, Twin Peaks. We are not here to talk about Twin Peaks. We are here to talk about and create characters for Quest, a tabletop role-playing game by TC Sodic that has been in like kind of in the discourse this year a little bit back and forth. It's a game I'm super curious to check out because it is. I think you can talk about the way it is being pitched. You can talk about the way it is set up as a product, and you can talk about the game itself. And those things all, I think, join to make something that I think I'm very interested in, and also something that fits the mold for something that I've wanted to do for a while, which is have a kind of back pocket live at the table game that we could drop into and drop out of. I kind of think of it as like pick up and play or drop in multiplayer almost in my mind what we're going to do with this. Low prep, still has a GM that in this game is called a guide. You know, still has some degree of that traditional kind of tabletop adventure role-playing game structure, GM-focused structure, but is looser in terms of things like stats, is looser in terms of things like campaign tracking, and so I think it'll fit our needs in that way really, really well. If you don't know Quest, it is a system that is very clearly in conversation with Powered by the Apocalypse games, with lots of sort of fiction-first fantasy, and not even just fantasy, fiction first games from the last 8, 9, 10 years that still fit the kind of general story games kind of genre space. This is not an old school Renaissance game by any means. To that end, the character creation in this game is really interesting and really focused on kind of quickly sketching out a basic idea for a character, choosing some abilities that are interesting, that you're excited by, and going forward from there. And so we thought we would just show that on screen with at least some of us. The goal is for all of the members of Friends of the Table to have a Quest character that they can pick up and play, including me, so that if, like, Janine is like, I really have a cool idea for the Grand Tableau, which is what we're calling this campaign, or this campaign setting space, I'd be like, yeah, cool, I'd love to play in that. I'll come and join as my character. And so we'll walk through all that today. I think we all have I'm curious, y'all have all read the book or at least peeked through the book a little bit at this point, enough to decide what class you want. What are your impressions of this game so far? I know, Keith, you were talking before we started and you had some thoughts. Not to put you on the
Sorry,
spot.
I was muted. To me, this game is a game like it screams to me like a game that is something that's like Dungeon World that you could get someone who plays D&D only to maybe play. Where I know a lot of people who play D&D and really like Dungeons and Dragons and are extremely averse to playing anything else. And so this feels like a game that might sort of be something else that they would play, because it has some ideas in it that are really not around in Dungeons and Dragons, or at least really
discouraged from that style of
discouraged,
play,
yeah.
or aren't incentivized. There are moves in this game that are like read a poem at the table.
But it
an
also
effect.
uses a d20.
It sure does. And in fact, I
You
was
roll
listening
a
to
d20 in this.
I was listening to a interview with the creator of this game recently, and he 100% was like, "Listen, if you don't want to roll a d20, don't roll it. You do this with 2d6. You play the system with a d10 or a d12 if you wanted to." And I was like, "You can't do like yes, that's right. Of course you can do that, but like."
Right.
Make the case for why I should use a d20, stand by your game, or pick a dice, a resolution mechanic that you feel really confident about. And
for me, the fact that this game uses a d20, like whether I end up like really liking the game or not, is so important because it's like, I don't know, the d20 feels extremely like symbolic or like
yes.
like talismanic of Dungeons and Dragons as a game. And if I'm right in the thing that this game does is it gets people who won't play a non D&D game to play another game, I think that is like the big representative thing that it's like, well, it's the same thing you roll, which is
right.
I don't know why that's important, but it seems like it is.
I think that there's like an incredible range of opinions about this game out there that I think are worth like just go on Twitter. I wish Roll20 was still around, not Roll20. Google Plus was still around because I'm sure the conversations around this game there would have been really fascinating. But people were talking about this game earlier this year on Twitter, talking about the kind of tension between wanting to bring the huge, overwhelming mass of people who only play D&D into the space of independent games, and at the same time wanting to say, like, and also we should not make games just for those people. Like, our end goal for game making should not be to tap into the commercial audience of D&D and bending our games and our ideas towards that audience. But as someone who's like made stuff both for kind of niche and mainstream audiences over the years, I'm very curious to see how this thing plays and all of that. So, given all of that, also really quick, I do just want to say that I think this game is really, or this book is really pretty. It's filled with really, really striking art. And while I think the writing can sometimes be a little twee or like it's actually not twee, it's actually all over the place because it has kind of it has a conversational tone that feels very like not internet humor in the meme sense, internet new sincerity, like funny. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's probably the like subset of like John Hodgman could read you some of this stuff. Anyone on Max Fun could read you some of the way that this stuff is written, and it would sound like it was in that voice because T.C. Sodek is like from The Verge, is an editor on The Verge, and I think that really, really shows in the written voice. But also, sometimes this book is just like, well, this is how, let me talk to you about how you would kill a fucking bear with a hammer. And like, yo, what the fuck did that bear do? So it's a little all over the place, but the art, I think, including, and I'll just pull it on screen, the art of a bear getting fucking smacked with a hammer, is also, it communicates the world better in some ways than the text can, not the world, but the kind of vibe of the space. I forgot that I have to like take a screenshot to get it on the screen. This is a whole thing, so maybe I will not show you this bear getting whacked with a hammer. But if you have the book, it's on page.
What page is that on?
It's on page 8.
8.
Yeah.
Oh, right away.
Right away. You hear the trees rustle as the ground rumbles. Birds jump from the canopy and flee the forest. Suddenly, a mighty bear bursts through the trees and attacks you. What do? The adventurer. I take out my magic hammer and attack. This furry menace picked the wrong day to mess with me. The guide. Okay, so roll the dice. Yeah.
This bear is not just getting hit with a hammer.
Yeah.
It is being broken apart in astral viscera.
Yeah, but again, I think that's one great phrase. Astral Viscera, the new game by Platinum Games. 2, I think that the thing you noted actually speaks to why I wanted to join this game with an idea that we talked about in a previous Live at the Table game. That is the kind of center fictional conceit of this game, which is that this image of a bear face being turned into astral viscera, very stylish, and colorful. Astral Viscera seems like a thing that would happen when you defeat an enemy in like an action adventure fantasy MMO. In fact, this game's book is filled with art that is bright and colorful in that way that something like Grand Blue Fantasy or World of Warcraft or more recently Genshin Impact feels kind of at home with. And so the basic pitch for the Grand Tableau. In fact, let me just read. Let me do the thing that GMs are supposed to do, apparently, which is look at their prep and just read word for word from it.
Soon I'll figure out what Genshin Impact is and if I'm interested in it.
Keith, you specifically should try Genshin Impact, I think.
Okay.
The Grand Tableau is a new MMO taking the world by storm, which transports its players to a fantastical world of mystery, whimsy, and adventure. Featuring unique PvPvE mechanics, an expansive environment to explore, a deep and varied lore, the Grand Tableau offers something for everyone. Players take the role of vivants, descendants of the lost empire of the Chimeric Crown, blessed with mystical powers and driven to rebuild the kingdoms of their ancestors. Unfortunately for you, the players, Janine, Sylvi, and Keith, you are just NPCs. And all of those super-powered player characters are stomping around your worlds. And hey, you already have problems to deal with. It's not like the monsters roaming the countryside, the ancient demon lords crafting nefarious plans in their keeps, and the unscrupulous politicking of the powerful and corrupt don't provide problems all their own. Enter the Conservatory, an intercontinental organization that brings together the best and brightest of Tableau, which is the name of the world that this game takes place in, to explore, learn, preserve, and intercede on the behalf of the people whose lives have been shaken and shattered by the arrival of the Vivants. As members of the Conservatory's newest cohort, you'll put your mettle and your luck to the test in the name of the world you call home. That is the basic pitch here. And, I mean, the other half of this is this world brings together a number of places that we visited over the course of the last few years of Live at the Table games. I pulled up the map that is an MS Paint map that I threw together that I'll put on the Patreon at some point for map makers. And you'll see here that there were kind of 5 major continents or 5 major regions. And then each of them has a bunch of big dots and little dots that are all different elements of games we've played. So for Janine and Keith, who are part of the Golden Sky Stories, you'll see that Tsubomicho, the kind of flower bud village, I believe is what it was called, up in the northwest, is in the region of Billow, which is a region that, much like the world of our Golden Sky Stories game, was this kind of sea of clouds. Where a bunch of societies exist above the clouds. In that game, it was just the ones up on the mountains, like Tsubomicho or Snow Peak City, but also Demaray is there, which, again, Keith and Janine, you were in our first Live at the Table game, where we did bees, like cool bee society.
Oh, and Downfall.
In Downfall, correct. Where
that
there was
game
like
ruled.
That game ruled 100%. And there was like, remember there was like a hexocracy. Everything had 6s, and there was like bees who had to wear a blue like paint basically if they were criminals, and it was good. And that world is just here. That world is here in Demaray and Billow, and then just across the kind of border. Into Verd, there's the Cavern of Bees from our game of...
Different bees.
But actually, are they? Or are they related? Is that why they're close, right? From our game of Bell Songs. Bell Song? Bell's
3.
Song? Yeah, Keith is just killing it right now. Keisha, down in Sear, is the name of the town. Or in Feather, Beak, and Bone... Sylvi, you played that with me, and I want to say Jack and Allie. There was a town called Kitcha Kitcha, and I don't want to just use names from games directly when it's not our names. And so, like, listen, Kitcha, it's close enough. It's not Kitcha Kitcha. It's not spelled exactly the same way. Likewise, the Titan's Teeth Range, Harrow Hall. I kept the Gilded Reef as the Gilded Reef because it's sick, and I don't want to change it to like the Golden Reef, I guess. But all of those are from our Spoken Magic games. The Marchmount Mountains were from the Shooting the Moon games, along with Velvet Manor. Neveldorf is just the name of a village I wrote because I think it's a cool name, and I wanted another place up in Ferna, which is the kind of snowy area that's on this map. I say snowy; it's kind of just like a gray-blue on the map, but it's mountains and snow, and so on. The northeast is Sylvi is our game of stew pot, and the kind of like the top side, the kind of crossroads tavern that eventually became a whole little settlement.
Which one is that?
That was you were in that too, Keith, right?
I was in that too, yeah.
Yeah, that's the stew pot game in the northeast, the top side, and what was just called the Port Town and the Goblin
the top,
Town,
written there,
right in the middle. Yep, totally.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we've kind of like, it was really fun to lay all this out and go through all of these games. I did some of that during a Drawing Map stream, I want to say last month. And like laying it all out and seeing like dozens of locations, including many that there are some that aren't just not even on this map likely because they were set in passing as like little world building asides. Like I need to go back and listen to all 4 parts of the Shooting the Moon game because I wasn't in that one, and so I need to revisit it to see if I can find stuff I just don't intuitively remember. Also, shout-outs as always to the transcripts team because they made the prep for this so much easier. You can go to transcriptsattetable.com to learn about the transcripts or to read the transcripts. Or if you're interested in joining that effort, you can go to transcriptsattetable.com. There's a links there for information on everything. So that's the basic gist of the world. I guess I'll say a little bit more in terms of the setting before we create characters. Fictionally speaking, this world came together at the end of the Spoken Magic game. I don't want to spoil details because if you want to go back and listen to that, you should. Also because I don't think the people of this world know the events of that game. The people of this world basically believe that the world has always been like this, just that there have been new recent connections between these distant places. So the United Hamlets and Demaray do not have like hundreds of years of civil relationships, together, but they suddenly have come into contact, and they're like, oh wow, I guess just over the mountains or whatever, there are a bunch of bee people we didn't know about, right? But they don't think that this was all brought together by some like magical intervention, let alone the fact that their world has actually become or been duplicated into or whatever into an MMO for human being consumption, in the quote unquote real world. So that's one thing. 2 is one of the foundational games that is not directly referenced on this screen right now was a game that I think it was Art Alley and I played called Skeletons, in which we played a bunch of skeletons who were in a tomb, defending the tomb from adventurers and invaders. And the kind of big final, as the game continued, we kind of learned that we were all part of this thing called the Empire of Cats, or the Cat Empire. We were not cat skeletons, we were just human skeletons. And so at some point, and we kind of laid out some things in that game that were really fun around like, I bet adventurers in the future, I bet this tomb is like a raid in Destiny, basically. And so one of the core things about this world is that there are ruins everywhere, and those are ruins from something called the Chimeric Crown, which was a kind of conglomeration of it was a super empire. It was like there were 5 other empires, one in each of these kind of regions. The Empire of Cats up in Billow, which is a bunch of like necromancers. They presumably are the ones who ruined the ground so bad that people have to live on the tops of mountains and up in super big trees and stuff. The Empire of Cats, Birds, which is down in Seer, the kind of deserty region, which the only note that we had on them from that game when we were like naming the different empires was, I just want to read this word for word here. They open air, running, not wearing shirts. Assassin's Creed nonsense. So that's the vibe for Seer. Veerd has the Empire of Mice, which is one of the newer ones, the ones we did not mention in the Skeletons game. And I've written I kind of sent all of you a world building document. This is a kind of 3-page sheet on just like, here's what the deal is. And in Veerd, the Empire of Mice are the ones who built the roads, the mountain tunnels, and old fortresses across Veerd. It's probably unrelated to the Mouse Kingdom, but also, who could say? In Ray, which is the kind of sea area here, is the Empire of Fish, which we know from the Skeletons game is all about trade, all about fishing, all about keeping fish as pets. We were really doing some deep world building during that game. And then finally, the Empire of Dogs up in Ferna, who I've written that not much is known about them. They were likely fond of barking and biting, which is to say, I suspect that they're like the type who talk shit and also get hit. They do both of those things. They're kind of, your mountainy warrior folks. And all of those ruins dot the landscape. Those are, again, the sort of thing that if you were playing the video game version of this, you would go and dive into those dungeons or those shrines or whatever pretty often. So I think that's like the high level important thing to know. Oh, last important world building thing. At the edge of this world, and also presumably throughout it, there's a thing called the Brume, the Brume, which is a fog, a mist that separates this world from something else, and that is where these Vivants, these kind of scions of this old kingdom who've decided by spending $60 and downloading this game on Steam, that they are here to rebuild the ancient kingdoms of their ancestors. They probably don't understand how much they suck, because games are really bad at communicating how bad the politics of games are. But they suck. I think that there are people who will show up to any city, and then when they leave the city is in a worse place because of what happened, so I think that's the big stuff. I think that's the general details. Are there any questions about the world or the current state of things before we jump into it and start making characters?
How long have the Vivants been a problem?
I don't know, and I want to be clear. I think that the players of this game know that they're a problem. I don't know that the world necessarily does. I suspect the world sometimes thinks that they're useful, especially the powerful who can pay the Vivants to go do things for them without getting their own hands dirty, right? So it's hey, if you wanted to expand your town into the mountains, but there was a dragon in the mountains, and you didn't want to go send a bunch of your own people to go fight that dragon because they would die and get mad at you and overthrow you, you could instead pay a Vivant to go do it. Especially because it seems like the Vivants are immortal and they can just come back pretty regularly. So I think that's part of the vibe to some degree. I think we know that. Anyway, to answer your question, I don't know. A year, 2 years, long enough for it to be we know, or maybe less than that, right? Long enough for us to have built a thing called the conservatory. So probably a couple of years.
Right.
Anyway, Rain Watt in the chat says, is the MMO thing part of Quest, or is Quest more generic? Quest is much more generic. Quest has a kind of the common, there is a multiverse. Every game of Quest is happening in the same universe, where every other game of Quest is happening in an alternate dimension, that sort of thing. All right, if there's nothing else, then we should turn to the start of character creation. I'm not going to go over the first 20 pages of this game or whatever that are just here's how the dice work, here's da-da-da. But if questions about how the game what things are on your sheet come up, we can absolutely talk about those things as you're making your character, choosing abilities, stuff like that. So, character creation starts on page 21. After a cool image of a bunch of people walking on illusory steps through a dungeon, or I don't know, there's the sky back there too. I don't know, this art's dope. So, if you all go into your little sidebars on Roll20, you will find that you have a character sheet with your name attached to it. Boom. And if you open it and then hit character sheet, you'll see a profile page with.
Ooh, I do not have this.
You don't? You don't see it?
I just see bio and info, and it's blank, and I can't edit it.
Oh, you were not in when I made all this stuff work. 1 second. Boom. Now you should.
Okay.
Was it good now?
I checked earlier.
Yeah,
and
no
it
worries,
didn't,
no worries.
so-
I set these up
okay.
last night, and you had not seen that link at that point because it was like 4 a.m. Which fair. All right, so this page is called Your Character Profile. It's all caps. This chapter will give you ideas to help you fill in the blanks and create a unique and interesting character. You can start right now by choosing a name. It can be anything. Choose what your pronouns are to let others know how to refer to you. Some examples are they, them, she, her, or he, him. Next, choose your age with a maximum lifespan of 300 years and your height between 3 and 8 feet tall. I'm going to say those are guidance. If you have like a good idea for a character who's 301 years old or 9 feet tall, let me know. Then follow the steps in this chapter from 1 to 8 to finish creating your character. Feel free to use your own creativity to fill in the blanks. You're not obligated to use the examples in this book. Create a character that seems fun and interesting to you. We can just I think we can walk through the steps of we don't have to fill this whole sheet out. This stuff will get filled in as we go through the book, basically. But if you do have names for your characters, you can go ahead and fill those in now. I'm doing that because I already know who I'm going to play. Does anyone have a name yet?
No, I don't. I'm struggling
I
with a
do.
name.
We can
I
always
got
come
one.
back to that. What is your name?
Odette Van Ives.
Great name. Good. I'm going to see how it's spelled. There we go. Van Ives, one word, huh?
Yeah.
Love it.
You can space it out, but
You
I think
are.
Van gets connected directly. I don't know.
Right. How old are you? You just read your sentences that you filled out already.
So pronouns are she, they. I'm 28 years old and stand 5 foot 8 inches tall. I'm the party's spy.
You are the party's spy. That is the class you've chosen. I am the party's fighter. Keith and Sylvie, do you want to say what classes you're playing as the first full step of this character creation?
Yeah, I'm playing the magician.
Hell yeah. And Keith?
I'm playing the Invoker.
Do y'all want to read the little descriptions on the Choose a Role page on 22 for your roles?
Sure.
Your role gives you a unique set of abilities and is a big part of your character identity. This is just a brief overview of Quest's 8 roles. You can see their skills in the ability catalog. Let's do reverse order. Keith, tell me about the Invoker.
The Invoker is a battle mage relying on the force of their ideals. They conjure protective wards, invigorate allies in a pinch, and smite enemies with radiance.
Cool. Then was Sylvie next, I believe?
Yeah, sure. The magician specializes in conjuration and psychic manipulation. From parlor tricks to elaborate deceptions, they are master illusionists capable of twisting the mind.
I cannot fucking wait. I'm so ready. Roan is a fighter. The fighter takes charge to meet challenges up close. They are weapon masters and martial artists, relying on their physical might to overcome foes. And Janine.
The spy is a crafty agent of stealth and subterfuge. They are master assassins and experts in the use of magical gadgets, chemicals, traps, disguises, and forgeries.
Perfect. Step 2, enter the scene. You can give your characters as much detail as you want, but it helps to start with a few distinctive features. Imagine what people would notice when you first enter a room. As a starting point, imagine the world is filled with human-like peoples who need the same things we do: food, safety, love, and fun. The features you choose may suggest a unique ancestry, but they don't separate you from others. Assume that peoples of the world are compatible in matters of family, labor, and society. You can choose any of the things from this list or create your own. The only rule is that the features you choose to describe your characters cannot give them special powers. And then for people who don't see the actual book, there are the sentence is, when people see me first, they notice my blank, blank, and blank, which in the book is body, face, and vibe. And the things listed under those include, like, body is scales, worn scars, iridescent skin, rack of muscles, towering physique, speckled complexion, barrel-sized belly, head of tentacles, generous curves, elongated limbs, etc. There's kind of a lot going on in their suggested collection of things. But again, you don't have to use the ones here. Also, just I want to speak a little bit to process. One of the reasons I'm going through this the way the book says to go through it is just because I'm curious to see how it plays out. One of the things I like to do with live at the table games is run the game as it's written. It's not saying we never hack things, but I do like doing that just as a matter of like, hey, does this game work for me? So yeah, go ahead and figure out your 3 kind of noticeable attributes here.
What does it mean in terms of vibe to have a long shadow? Does that mean something that I don't understand?
I think a long shadow means an imposing presence. If someone enters the room with a long shadow, it means that it's
bigger
time
than they appear.
Maybe, or that they like
their presence
their presence is outsized.
Yeah.
Or I mean, they can also be big sized.
Right.
But their presence is outsized compared to other people of similar builds, is what I would actually say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
A longer shadow than normal for someone like you.
God. Okay. I had a thought, and I'm trying to get off of it. I'm actually not trying to do this.
Yeah.
When the limit, which seemed arbitrary to me, but the limit of being 300 years old.
Yeah.
And you said, if you have an idea, I don't mind. But then, so my first thought was like, what if I don't know how old I am? And then I was like, what if I'm 12?
I don't want to. You can't be a kid. I don't want to. I'm gonna have to swing a sword at you.
Yeah.
I don't think
that's a good point.
I don't think the conservatory. Listen, I know that I just mentioned Genshin Impact, which is absolutely a game where children fight monsters.
That's also Golden Sky Stories.
Golden Sky Stories, you're not fighting monsters though.
No, but you're kids.
You're kids, but it's a game built about being kids, not a game where like one of the examples is take this hammer to a bear's face and turn it into astral viscera.
So, what is can you explain to me the cosmology of this place again? Am I a real person? Where am I do I have a physical body?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
I have a physical body. It's not.
If you die, you're dead. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, but is it but that could be a digital body with permadeath.
You have no idea that there's an MMO involved in this.
Right.
We do. We know.
It doesn't matter. Right. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter for. I guess okay. So let's go back to my original thing. Like I think like an adult character that wouldn't know how old they are. That would be because they're there because there was a patch to the game that added this thing.
Right. Sure. You would not think about that, though. You would just not know how old you were. And then the answer would either be something you couldn't find or something that when you found, there would be a textual answer for it. That was like, oh, you were crafted in a lab. But you would not find in the world the patch note that... sorry.
No.
Never was a long time.
I wouldn't be like, well, I'm a patch note. It would be like, oh, I
don't have a history. Right, I came from nowhere. Maybe I'm a ghost. Yeah. I don't know.
I'll think about it.
I want to be clear. Eventually, we should probably have a cool game where the patch notes get addressed. You know what I mean? But I think like to kick things off, there's a degree to which you should feel like the conservatory, in my mind, is that rival NPC faction that like is framed as kind of the bad guys, but the bad guys are absolutely right about stuff. If that makes sense, and they're always like showing up.
Well, then that means I'm 62.
Wait, why?
That's how old those guys are.
Okay, good. I'm glad. There are also new recruits. You don't have to be 62. For instance, Odette, do you want to explain? You already said you're 28, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Wait, did you say that, or did I forget this? Did I forget that bit?
No, I said that.
Okay, good. I have my 3 adjectives, if y'all do, or my 3 descriptors.
I also do.
Do you want to tell me yours, Odette?
When people see me, they first notice my willowy frame, wind-swept face. I think they mean wind-burned, like when your cheeks and nose are very red from cold wind.
You can just write that. Then. You don't need to use their terminology.
Yeah, because I don't know what wind-swept face means.
I know what windswept.
My
windswept
idea of what a
hair is.
windswept face would be a narrow face because when your face is
Because the wind
when they're
swept
still
most of it
making your
away,
face,
or-
yeah, when your face is wet clay and the wind blows past it, it makes it narrow. That's what I got from that.
Windswept face to me means like your hair is in your face.
Yeah,
but
that's yeah. But
that's not really a
windswept
face thing.
hair.
Anyway, I'm gonna go with windburned face and flawless poise.
Love it. Good. When people first see me, they first notice my towering physique, my lion-like face, and my vermilion disposition. No relation to Millie.
I have mine.
Yeah, tell me yours. Also, do you have
I also have a name.
you have
yeah.
a name now. What is your name?
I
love
Mana
you.
Mix-Up.
I love this so much.
And so when
Alright, what
people
was it?
see me, they first notice my sparkling eyes, mischievous grin, and my bat wings.
Hell yeah!
I like Batwing's third there.
Bat-
Oh yeah,
wings.
you got to close with it.
Smiley
with a smiley
face. With a smiley face. Your name one more time because I spoke over you.
Mana Mix-Up.
Love it.
Man,
so
a mix
good.
up.
And her pronouns are she, her.
I love Mana Mix Up because you know that Mana Mix Up is like an entire Tumblr fandom's favorite NPC. Like Mana just hangs out and doesn't really do too much, but everyone
Trying to
just
get the SSR Halloween man in the fucking phone game.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I should note, I didn't. It's not written here anywhere, but Roan is a hobgoblin. I mentioned my vermilion disposition, and part of that is because like that idea of being like kind of red and glowering is important for Roan. They are a big old warrior, and you may remember them from Stewpot. I'm just playing my Stewpot character, which is the thing I should have said. You're all welcome to play characters you've played before in these games. Those characters still exist in this world.
Baseball superstar Keith Carberry.
That's a different world, unfortunately. However, could I imagine someone creating a character in the game of the Grand Tableau on an RP
my
server
God.
where they play as baseball superstar Keith Carberry? Yes. Really quick, I'm gonna post this. I'm gonna show this Hobgoblin D&D. Listen, I don't play D&D, but I'll happily steal from it. I really love the look of hobgoblins in D&D 5th edition, and if you do a search for Hobgoblin D&D or Hobgoblin 5e, there's a specific image of this one with a cool quarterstaff that was the inspiration for Roan during our Stewpot game. I don't think that their hair is as long. I think they specifically keep their hair kind of close cropped. Not close cropped, that's not true. I imagine it being sort of combed forward or brushed forward, but kept closer than the kind of traditional hobgoblin long dark hair situation, which is maybe I think a lot of the hobgoblin art in D&D they have these like hyper masculine like warrior bros is the kind of vibe, and I actually think that the closer cropped hair for Roan is part of being non-binary, like just is not down with that one part of masculine like kind of gender performance, but does have sick sideburns. Does not these like super long ones that turn into beards on this character type, but does keep their sideburns like very pointed and angular and sick. But there's nowhere on here where I'm like, I don't want to be like Roan the Hobgoblin. That feels bad. But so Vermilion disposition is part of that because this is a hobgoblin with like red skin, and I want to communicate that a little bit. Keith, do you have your descriptors?
Yeah, let's go with. Okay. When people see me, they first notice my willowy frame, laughing eyes, and air of mystery. I dragged it, and now it says logging ice.
What?
I accidentally you know how you can sometimes drag
yeah.
letters? Okay, laughing eyes.
Yeah, I
There
see
we
it.
go.
It's good. Okay. Next up is our style. Choose how you present yourself to the world, pick your usual outfit, and imagine what your character looks like when they move. It only takes a couple of features to help people imagine you, but you can be even more detailed if you like. I'm guessing, Janine, you have these already. You do.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What are they?
I wear high-waisted fitted black stirrup pants.
Mm-hmm.
Cropped gigot sleeve jacket / blouse.
Got a
What is
Google
a
Gigot
gigot
sleeves.
I'm on it.
They're also called, I think they're
Oh.
called like lamb shank or lamb leg sleeves. It's those big like
Sure.
Victorian. You see them in a lot of like Dickensian adaptations. It's the big, huge, like super puffy on top, very fitted around the wrist.
Mm-hmm.
This is partially inspired by the Eli Saab Spring 2021 collection that was going around recently. Although those are
Yes.
more like puff sleeves, those aren't really those aren't like a gigot or a, you know. But it's there's one specifically that's like that had like the trousers and then the puffy sleeves, and it's like I want that energy. So I'm adapting that slightly, but the pants go under the cropped thing, not over it. It's very important.
Good to know.
And move with an effortless glide. Also, there's no space here for like hairstyles or complexion or anything.
Yeah, I think that would have gone in the people first notice me, but I'd like to know. But if you didn't put it
Yeah.
there, that's still I'm down to hear it.
Because I didn't want to be like people. They first noticed my tan complexion. Like,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Anyway, though, I think she has a tan complexion.
Being an American does mean though that when people first see me, they do go, "Oh, black." I've interpolated you as black. So
My dad thought you were Mediterranean for a really long
love it.
time.
I love it. Cool. Shout outs
yeah.
to Janine's dad.
And so she has sort of a tan complexion. It's still pale enough that you can see the sort of windburn on the cheeks very, very clearly. And she has hair that is kind of, it's hard to describe because the hair that I like most that I have is, I have a picture on my inspiration folder of a Victorian maid smoking, and I can't find it anywhere, so it's not helpful. The best comparison I could draw is Anita from 101 Dalmatians, but with more curls, and probably like a maybe dark green, but like almost black.
Right.
It's like an off black. I haven't really settled on how off black, but it's sort of that like pulled back. There's like some stuff going on in the front. There's some volume. There's room for like curls to be pinned in along the side, and then there's kind of like a thingy on the back. It's not quite a bun. It's not quite a twist. It's like some sort of something in between.
Sure. I think I understand what you mean. Yeah. Is this a thing? I gotta Google a thing.
Leg of mutton. Thank you, Coda. That's the alternate name for those sleeves, not lamb leg.
Very close.
It was very close.
Although someone might think you have goat leg, and that would be embarrassing.
That would be.
That'd be was it leg of mutton. Yeah. Oh, it does look like. I mean, it does look like a lamb chop.
Yeah. It does. I can't decide if the jacket would have like a high collar or like a wide neck. I guess I'm probably going to want to vary it by occasion.
Probably.
If we go to a party, you want like a wide necked one. If we go to like a church, you go to the
You gotta mix it
high
up.
collar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a heavy step. I wear ornate plate mail, belted book straps, and I move with a heavy step. In the Stewpot game, Roan had retired from the life of being a fighter to become a scholar, and part of that game was that they were slowly, like, becoming more conscientious about the world and, like, learning about different people, and learning how to, like, journal and be more compassionate and thoughtful, and also just, like, learning facts and trivia about everything. They were always someone who wanted to tell stories and stories about their adventures, basically, and so they that became a focus for them. Now they've put that plate mail back on, but they're also just like, they've got like leather book straps. Not a ton of them. It's not like they're covered in books, but they basically have pouches. A couple of them on their big frame where they have like, oh, this is my book of history of this part of the world. Here is my part. Here's the book where I'm keeping my notes about animals in this region. Here is my book about how to deal with this type of monster. They're like a walking strategy guide to some degree. And a heavy step. They move with a heavy step. I thought about a confident step, but I don't. You know what? I'm going to go back to confident. I'm going to go back to a confident step. I thought on it for a second, I'm back.
Heavy to me feels like stumbling, but confidence does have a heaviness to it.
Yeah.
Confident step is like you don't care if someone hears you coming.
Right.
Heavy is like you can't control it.
Yeah, fair. Mana mix-up.
Yeah. I wear a pointed hat, well-kept robes, and move with a self-assured stride.
Ooh, love it.
Mm-hmm.
Keith.
Yes. I wear a fluttering cape, a tarnished ring, and move with a spring in my step.
What's up with the ring?
What is up with the ring?
We don't know. It was added in a patch, actually.
Yeah.
Step 4, call home. Like the real world, the people of Quest are endlessly diverse. Use where you're from and what your people are known for as a starting point for how you relate to others in the world. I think home is really flexible here. You don't need this to be the place that you were born. This can be just the place that you think of as your home, the place that you relate to, the place that where people would, if you said you were from there, people would know what that is, and that doesn't necessarily mean, again, the place you were born. I say that because for Roan, that is, where is it? A roadside inn. Because that's where the our stew pot game was, and that is Roan's home at the end of the day. And the people there are known for, let's see, causing havoc. No. Their commercial success. No.
Basketball.
That's true. That's just, I'll write it in right now. No for basketball. Let's go.
God.
Their warm hospitality.
I'm like looking at these and I'm really tempted to go with a place I can't name, known for a culture of secrecy. But
it's very funny. Well, like,
feels like a little much.
Would that be the thing for me? Is like, is that true, or is that a thing we all look at you and go like, okay?
I think it's not true. Like,
yeah.
I think that's the thing. It's like, no, absolutely not true.
Yeah,
but
it's very funny.
Claims it is. I'm gonna go with that now.
Do it.
I said it.
Do you want an air of mystery for when people first notice you?
Well, I'm a great magician. They should have that. I'm a master illusionist. They should show me some respect.
Why don't people respect my mystery?
Exactly.
I should note, and I've said this privately on just in our chat. This is like one of the things I love about the framing of doing this as an MMO world is, in some ways, just like, you know how Twilight Mirage was like, oh, we can be as extra as possible here. This is even in some ways more extra because it doesn't have to be coherent. It doesn't have to be consistent. The tone can be all over the place. Like, there's a Monster Hunter dungeon in Final Fantasy XIV. The motherfuckers don't care. Crossovers happen. They're all that you need to consider is that someone who was making this world said, wouldn't it be cool if, and
you could just drive that car around.
You just drive that car around.
One of the first things that happened to me in that game was that, not one of the first things, but a thing that happened very early on in that game was that a lion driving the car from Final Fantasy 15 pulled up alongside me with his arm hanging out over the driver's side door, as if he was going to ask me for my number or if I wanted to go get dinner.
Oh my god. Yeah,
so
I saw two cat
funny.
boys riding in that car together. It was really sweet.
God.
Oh, they were going to get dinner. They had each other's numbers.
What car is this?
In Final Fantasy 14, you can just get a
Okay.
sports
You
car.
get the Final Fantasy
it's the
15 sports car.
Yeah.
It's so
And it
fucking
flies.
and it flies. It turns into the Batmobile.
I think it does that in that game too.
It
Final
does.
Fantasy
It does
15,
do that in
right?
15. Yeah. So yeah. So that doesn't mean like then it's in the world and then we don't have to care about it. But this is another touchstone for me is Dungeon Meshi for this game, and I think Dungeon Meshi is really good at having characters just have wild character traits because they're fun and interesting to put into connection with each other and with the world. You don't need to like the knight dude. You don't need to do the backstory on why he feels certain ways about different monsters. You just have to believe that that's part of who he is, and his weird curiosity doesn't need to be grounded, because if you tried to talk through that, you'd be like, wait, isn't this a world where these monsters are like killing people they know? And like, no, like that's just not tonally the space that we're going for here. We have other spaces to do that sort of storytelling. This is not that space. So feel free to be the mischievous grin, illusionist that you are.
You said Grand Blue, and that's when I knew it was just like
another
do whatever you
touchstone.
want.
Yeah, totally. Keith or Janine?
For which?
This is you're
Where you
from.
from?
Oh, I'm from a city in the mist where my people are known for their sense of duty to each other.
Cool. Do you know where that is, or do we not? Is that on the map already? Or is that
I
a
don't
place
know,
that you
and
want
I'm
to
having
add?
a Roll20 problem where I can't move or minimize or see the
Cool.
full extent of my sheet here, so I can't see the map. Maybe I'll just refresh. and
Okay.
see.
There's a lot of broom stuff going on.
That's true. There is a lot of broom stuff going on.
Like there's a lot of cities in the mist that
Could
work.
be. Yeah, that totally makes sense to me. Odette.
I'm from the Marchmont Mountains, so a mountain town, where my people are known for, and I really struggle with this one, but I think I've settled on their unhurried sense of time.
I love this. Is this the town? Is this the toy maker town?
Yes.
Do
I
you-
really wanted to. I settled on their unhurried sense of time because there's a lot of other things that like apply kind of, but only to individuals and not necessarily to the town as a whole.
Right.
So I settled on like, to me, that game is very strongly associated with the holidays and like coziness and, being good to each other. And like, so their unhurried sense of time feels fitting for that. I want to get that holiday spirit.
That makes sense to me.
Christmas Spy.
Odette Van Ives' Christmas Spy is good. Neveldorf might be that place, but I didn't want to give the name to that place. I just knew we immediately.
I don't remember.
There isn't one. I checked. Believe me, I checked. The only thing that's close, the only things that are there that are named are the Marchmont Mountains. More broadly, Velvet Manor, where there is a witch, and then I want to say there's like one or two other little like places in town are named, but the town itself never gets a name. Which is why I was like, well, we need one. Let me write this in, and then if we hate it or if the people who ran that game don't like Neveldorf, which is just like a play on Snow Village basically or Ice Village, then we could. That's just another town, and you can come up with your own name for it.
Yeah.
All right. That's all of us for Call Home, I believe. Next up is Believe in Something. Choose an ideal that guides your behavior. This is your moral core, the belief that will help you know what your character might do in lots of situations. You can choose one of these or create your own. As an example, there is, I must ensure justice. I must ensure equitable and just outcomes for everyone. It's your duty to deliver righteousness and fairness in the world. Compassion. I know it will delay us, but we should help this stranger first. You believe people deserve mercy and safety. Power. The only law that matters is the law of force. You think those who are strong deserve to make the rules. Pragmatism. It would be irrational to fight. We should negotiate. You value logic and efficiency above all other concerns. And again, you can totally make your own up, which I suspect I will do once I find my sheet. There it is.
I think I'm going for Compassion. Because again, Christmas Spy.
Christmas
so.
Spy. Yeah.
The thing for Compassion is, I know it will delay us, but we should help this stranger first. You believe people deserve mercy and safety.
Kind and good. Mine is, I'm going to make mine up, and it's cultivation. And then in parentheses, I'm going to say mentorship, counsel, etc. Rowan is very much of the mind that's like, hey, most fighters don't live to 42. I've done that. I want to pass that on as best I can. AKA cultivate saplings. Welcome to my self-insert character. Keith or Sylvi?
Yeah, I put, I believe in pleasure, which is you seek comfort and joy and believe people should enjoy being alive.
What's the quote? And can you give it to me in character voice?
What's the point of living if we're not enjoying ourselves?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mana.
Yeah.
Keith.
I'm split between two. I have one written, and it's salvation, making yourself and others righteous in the eyes of the true God or gods is the highest calling.
Huh.
What's the other one? Would be justice, which is
it
is your duty to deliver righteousness and fairness in the world. And I think those two go together pretty neatly.
As long as your God is chill. Right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's plenty of. I was thinking of the rival NPC faction who's like main villain. They're always like way into justice. It's just that they're also painted as the villain.
As the villain, despite that. You're right. No, I'm just saying,
or not
salvation
just despite it, but also like their justice is a bad
justice, right? I'm just saying, so some presumably righteous in the name of your true God or gods it only works as justice if your gods are justice gods and not like injustice gods.
But they could be bad justice.
They could be bad justice gods. Yeah,
the divine of justice still is bad, even if we know we've done our show before.
Yeah, we've done our show before. You know what it is. We haven't talked about gods. Like we don't. I have a lot of world building stuff here. It's light and airy, and none of it has to do with the gods. So partially because we just they haven't come up in these live games. To like pull on, as far as I remember, or as far as the transcripts I've read have reminded me. But also because I'm happy to leave this to people playing characters who would interact with that part of this world. So I'm curious if you did go Salvation. I mean, it's not even just that. You're an invoker, right? And one of the things you brought up to me before we started was that a number of the invoker abilities reference the god you worship or the pantheon you worship. And I'm curious if you have ideas about that, or if you just want to talk it out.
I was thinking on it a little bit, and I don't feel like I have any solid ideas yet, or at least like the ideas that I do have are not solid enough to start on. Mm-hmm. So that would be something I would come back to.
That's fair. I would definitely, one of the things the thing that we've talked about that I'm interested in that we haven't really done as like an active thing is a PC who has a pantheon that they worship, and not just a singular god, or like not just their favorite god in a pantheon. I think that could be fun. That's or I guess what I'm saying is, if I can think of the way in which I think the religion of this world might work, it's probably pantheon, or like the dominant religion in the world. Presumably, just like there are countless cultures and peoples, there are probably countless faiths and religions and belief systems. Right. But I would suspect that if you looked at like the biggest locations if you look at the place where a group like the Conservatory is built, I bet that you have churches and temples that have pantheons that bring together different pantheons. You know what I mean? Or have aspects that cross over from culture to culture or something. I think that could be fun. All right. The next thing is, I scrolled away like a fool. Be vulnerable. 6. Be vulnerable. Nobody's perfect. Choose a flaw to make your character complicated and believable. Like your ideal, you're free to choose one of these suggestions or create your own. Examples include fearful, you shy away from danger and are often last to act in confrontation. There's no way I'm going in first. Someone else should do it. Megalomaniac, I won't rest until I rule every inch of this world. You have delusional fantasies of wealth or power. Oblivious, which the quote is just ... truly bringing that NPC energy. You often don't see what's right in front of you, even if it has fangs, etc. I'm again creating my own, as the book says I'm allowed to do. And I'm doing lethargic. I'm old and scarred and tired. I'm not old, but you know. I'm scarred and tired. Rowan's been at this a long time. Rowan is 42 and has been a fighter for most of that lifetime. And so I think sometimes Rowan can be like, is this really necessary? Like that style of tired. Does anyone have one of these already?
Mm-hmm.
What's up?
I was gonna go with hedonist, but I think hedonist is there's a certain connotation to hedonist that's not quite what I'm after for Christmas Spy. So I went with indulgent, because hedonism is a lot of like I want to drink booze and fuck and gamble and like a lot of stuff like that.
Shout outs to hedonism, gang.
Shout outs to hedonism. What I'm after more is though like she like walks past a really cute cafe that she's never been in, and it's like, okay, but what if we stop there and I get everyone a donut?
Right.
Like I want that energy. I want that that hot chocolate, that like coziness, the reckless pursuit of coziness.
Reckless pursuit of coziness. I love that.
Yeah. So indulgent is my choice there.
Cool. Mana?
I have one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So mine is overeager. I just kind of keep thinking I can do more than I can. Getting way in over my head.
I love that.
Sort of. Yeah.
Keith.
I couldn't decide between a couple again, so I put my own in here. I was sort of like, who am I? Am I impish? Am I foolish? And I decided that actually no, I'm just easily distracted.
That's so good.
I think it can fit a lot of different things and will be easy for me to do.
Definitely. Next up is dream big. Finally, give your character a dream to work towards, a reason that fuels their desire for adventure. I dream of blank, and their examples include everything from finding a corner of the world to make my own, to becoming a master artisan, to dying an honorable death, to making every stranger smile, which, dream bigger, darling.
Every stranger, that's a pretty big dream. It's incredibly demanding.
I guess that's true.
You're going to waste away and die doing that.
I feel like, did any of you ever play Twisted Metal on the PlayStation? You know how the end of Twisted Metal is a game about car combat? Everyone has like a car that has guns on it.
It used to be a genre.
It was a weird time for everyone.
Bad genre.
It was a bad genre. The premise of that game was...
Twisted Metal Black Rolled. Also, it was bad.
It was also bad. The premise of that game's fiction was that there was a tournament between these car combatants, and the winner would get a wish from a super powerful dude in a suit named Calypso, and it would always be this sort of like monkey paw curl version of the wish coming true. I just mean to say, making every stranger smile is the sort of wish that Calypso would have a lot of fun with. He would just like Jokerify everyone in the world and be like, ha, you've gotten your wish now, haven't you?
Twisted Metal is a very early jokeification.
It really is.
The one that I remember is the character I like to play as the most was this guy Spectre, who was very much Johnny Cage energy. Like He was like a movie star with a cool car, and his wish was that he wanted his face to be seen around the world, and so Calypso stretched his face across the whole of the atmosphere
Oh my
until it was
God.
the sky.
It's not a monkey pot, it's a whole monkey fist.
Really bad. Ugh. Anyway, does anyone have one of these?
Well, you mentioned both of the ones I was considering, and then you made fun of one of them.
Oh no!
That's fine.
But
I
you're
think
a
I'm
Christmas
gonna go with
spy. A Christmas
I
spy
know,
can
but
do
I-
whatever.
yeah, but it also feels a little. It feels a little like cheesy to me to be like the Christmas spy wants to make everyone smile. That's a little too simplistic.
Uh-huh.
A little too like I don't know. So I think I'm gonna go with becoming a master artisan.
Okay. What type of artisan work are you doing?
So my concept for this character and why I was giving you not a hard time in our Discord before this, but kind of pressing a little bit about like, should we have jobs? Should we have a backstory? Is because Odette is an ice dancer.
Ooh.
So she is like a dancer, but she specifically specializes in like figure skating and things like that. And is sort of on the side a not corporate spy. Corporate's is too strong a word for Christmastown.
Industrial spy.
Yeah, industrial spy is probably closer.
Personal spy, you get hired the way you would like a private spy, like a private eye, but a private spy. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna keep just saying things.
It's along those lines.
Yeah.
That's also why she has those windburn cheeks, is because she's always out in the cold doing cool shit.
Gotcha. Roan's is publishing a book that's found in every home. Roan really, I'm going to change that to writing because Roan isn't trying to get into the publishing field specifically. But Roan, the image for me for Roan is like you've done a job your whole life and then you get to like spend some time. You have that one vacation where you realize, oh my God, I love salsa dancing. I cannot believe I spent the last 25 years of my life not salsa dancing. And for Roan, that's like books and stuff. Roan spent.
That's how I feel about watercolors.
There you go. Roan spent their whole life fighting things, and then got to chill in this tavern for a couple of years. And while there was like, yo, y'all heard of books? Books are fucking sick as shit. And now is like wants to write a book, and I think it's probably nonfiction. I think it's probably something to do with the world, and it might be like a tavern guide. I think they have a bunch of ideas. I think they have a bunch of ideas for what it could be. It could be like become the Anthony Bourdain of Tableau, but it might also be something more academic, or maybe some poetry. Rowan's been known to read some poems, so we'll see.
I like that Rowan used to be the Is This Music guy, but for books.
100%.
I have my one.
It never
Those
works.
are the best videos on the whole internet.
They really are.
good.
They're the funniest shit in the world.
Oh.
I at least once a week I remember the one where there's a plant next to a speaker and says, is it coming from the green or from the black? From the black?
Cool. That's great. I love that. That's Gabriel Gundaker.
Right, yeah.
Gundaker, Gundaker.
I think it's
Gundaker?
Gundaker, a guy who likes music, also known, of course, for Zendaya is Michi and
the coin
star, and It Never Works. Yeah.
Okay.
Also, the lesser known concept album about wanting to meet Richard Dreyfuss, which I because that's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So I have my dream.
What is your dream?
I dream of being a world famous illusionist because
I love
people
this.
don't respect illusion magic enough.
Is this the truth about this world? Is people think illusion magic is like bad?
Kind of. I think it's more like, oh, you can only do illusion magic? That's really weird.
Right. Like, why would you... So you can't do XYZ other thing? And like, no, but this is really cool.
I'm just good at little tricks.
I love it. Who's missing? Keith, do you have yours?
Yeah, I'm thinking of I'm torn between a few of these and between a couple ideas that I've had. I'm not sure if I can nail myself down on one of these yet, but the one that I'm leaning closest towards that's on the list is sparking an idea that transforms the world. Sort of how familiar are we all with the antagonist from Pokemon games?
Very sure. Yeah.
Which one?
I think Pokemon games are like
I thought
the
you meant the
clumsiest.
category of Pokemon. Do you mean a
Also,
specific
wait,
one?
Do you mean rival or like Team Rocket?
like the
Chief?
Team
The
Rocket.
teams. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're like the clumsiest version of that idea of like the villain who's actually right.
Right,
Where it's
yes.
always like, we shouldn't be battling these Pokemon, so we're gonna steal and kill them all. Or we're gonna shoot them into
Yes.
space. Like, but
Yeah.
it's always like,
Convert
or
them
like
into
we're gonna
juice or
take
whatever.
everyone's Pokemon, and then they'll realize they're basically trying to they're doing a really horrible thing to and I don't plan on doing a really horrible thing, I don't think, but they're trying to do some big thing that will get everyone to realize that Pokemon fighting is bad.
Right.
When the game just wants to go like, actually, Pokemon fighting is what friendship is.
Yes. Right. And you were that.
But that's
for this.
what I'm leaning closest. That's what I'm leaning closest to.
You were that for this game that is like revanchist imperial heirs have come to reclaim the land that they believe has been, denied them, even though there are now different people already fucking living here. And that's bad. But the players are like, yeah, but if I conquer a little bit more land, I get a cool spin attack.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Great. I just peeked in the chat. The larger fruit salad says, "Mana mix-up erased Keith's character's name. No one can ever remember it." Mana.
God, I wish. That'd be such a cool tray.
All right, so now we can move on to the 8th step, which is the last step of this part of character creation, and it's gear up. Your character profile is finished. Now grab your character worksheet, page 17. You may choose any 3 common weapons. Additionally, you may choose any 1 useful item from this list. You begin the game with these items, so be sure to mark them on your inventory. So there's an inventory tab here that has, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 12 slots. I believe that's right. Let me just double check the actual sheets and make sure that matches to what is here. Quest. Open these character profiles and worksheets. I love a worksheet. Yeah, 12 items is right. So the way that combat works in this game is not too dissimilar from when we were playing Dungeon World, in the sense that, remember in Dungeon World, characters just had damage they did, and you didn't really worry too much about, like, this is a whatever weapon. In this game, without a weapon, you do 1 damage. Unarmed attacks like punches and kicks deal 1 damage. You can also make unarmed attacks with extra style. For instance, if you want to throw a book at someone really hard, you can count it as an unarmed attack that deals 1 damage. Then there are common weapons, which are like swords, bows, spears, hammers, knives, and more, and they all deal 2 damage each. You can choose any 3 common weapons to start the game with. So you could just pick 3 things here, and those are your starting 3 weapons. I believe those go into your inventory slots because they're items that have worth that you could trade away. So yes, so they would take up slots. There we go. Man, I saw your first one and I laughed. It's a good joke. And then the useful items, I'll read the useful items that are listed here. Lockpicks, a set of 5 lockpicks that can be used to try to bypass doors and other things with simple locks. Magic rope, a 50-foot rope that can automatically coil itself. It can shrink to any size. It can shrink to the size of a spool of yarn for easy carrying. Not any size, the size of a spool of yarn. And expand back to its normal size on its owner's command. Magic flask, a magic flask that automatically replenishes itself with a spirit of your choice. Choose once. Magic candle, a powerful candle that can light itself and snuff itself out on its owner's command. It drips wax but never seems to lose any. Kiln gauze, a container of magic gauze that can be used to repair broken metal weapons like swords. When the gauze is wrapped around the severed weapon, it welds the weapon back together in a flash. There's enough gauze in each container to repair one weapon. Friend flute. This is a small magic whistle that knows who your friends are. When you blow in the whistle, only your friends nearby can hear its sound. Sky Caller amulets, a pair of magical amulets that allow their owners to communicate with each other at any distance within the same world. When held in the hand, the amulets allow the bearers to communicate with each other telepathically by wishing for the link to be created. Each pair of amulets can only communicate with each other, and can only be activated up to 3 times each day. Each time the link is activated, the wearer may communicate for up to 5 minutes. I'm going to call this. We have a trio of mages in this world who, because they know what happened to the world, are in a uniquely suited position to become the sort of mages whose names get brought up in spell names and shit. From our spoken magic game. You know how, again, in role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons, you'll get like, oh, this is so-and-so's magic arrow, or whatever. Or, God, what's the actual one I'm thinking of? It's like...
Ula Keldroma's lightsaber.
Right, like that. Classic D&D thing.
It's just that I don't know any D&D stuff, but
what's
that's
the
an example.
acid arrow? It's Melf. Melf's acid arrow. Named for Melf, who is
Melf or
Melf.
Smelf? Where the fuck the Melf's at on here? Anyway, but that style of thing, and so in this case, I think I'm going to say this is Estacar's tent in a tin, a colorful tin canister that's magically pressurized. When you unlock the canister and set it on the ground, the lid blows off for a few moments. A few moments later, deploying a large magic tent that can fit 30 people. Sound cannot escape inside of the tent, or from the inside of the tent, which honestly is terrifying. That's not a...
You could just pop that tent up to murder people in.
That's the Dexter tent.
That's a good strategy.
A switch on the side of the tin teleports the tent back inside and closes the lid. What happens if you do that when you're inside the tent? Anyway.
Doesn't matter because you don't hear it.
Yeah. So.
No one ever knows.
What do we got? What do we got here? People have things?
People got things.
What are your things?
I got things.
I don't know. This is a weird one because I'm thinking of my character and the idea that I would have like 3 different weapons on me seems like a lot.
Think of them as money you can spend immediately then. Because if you don't give a fuck about it, that's stuff you could trade away for other shit you do care about.
Okay.
Also, think about like a GM can break these things.
Also, sometimes a weapon is a tool.
That's true.
Yeah.
Odette?
Yeah. Odette's got a whip.
Yeah.
Odette's got a crossbow and some crossbow bolts.
Mm-hmm.
Odette's got an elegant butterfly knife. And Odette's got 5 lockpicks.
Okay. And you said the bolts, right, for the crossbow? Did you say that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good you wrote that down because I remembered I needed to do the same.
Yep.
For my stuff, which I'll get to in a second, mana.
I'm actually just coming up with one more weapon really quick, and I want to make sure I have a description for it.
Cool. Roan.
Could you turn one of those? What are those balls that you touch and then your hand? It makes sparks on your hand.
Like a Tesla ball thing.
Yeah.
Whatever those are actually called.
Oh, you could have like fushigi balls as a weapon. That'd be fun.
You could.
That'd be a fun one.
Could do that. That's true. All that's important is it does 2 damage. That's really it.
Hucking a glass, metal, whatever the hell those things are, ball at someone's head would definitely do 2 damage.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like the
100%.
contact juggling things?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Those are heavy.
You don't. To be clear, the book does say up to 3 weapons. If you don't want to choose 3 weapons, you don't have to choose 3 weapons. I'm just saying it's useful because one of the consequences for failure can be, you lose the weapon that you have, you know? And I should note also, if you choose a ranged weapon like a bow or crossbow, you must also use one of your item slots for ammunition. You don't need to keep track of how much ammunition you have, but you might run out of those if you lose equipment as like a consequence.
Okay.
I've written here gun staff, long knife, black powder and pellets, and then magic flask. I don't know what's in it yet. I need to go back and check the stew pot game to see if there was a particular drink that we came up with. Because if there is, I want to reference that. As a reminder, Roan has like a big walking stick, like a quarterstaff, that has at the top of it a sort of like cannon. If I remember right, there's like a specific. This is like a real thing now that I think about it. Cannon staff, because I based it off of something. Because I thought it looked cool. Now I'm Googling it.
I remember in the animated Mulan, they had like single shot cannons that were like really long and on sticks, and they would jam them into the dirt and then aim them and then fire them.
That sounds cool.
That's relevant.
Doing a search in our internal chat for staff is not working. How would I even find this thing? I guess what I could do again is look at the transcripts. Shout outs again, transcripts at the table. If anyone else has something, you can do that while I'm Googling.
Okay. Let me know if this is not okay. So for first, I don't think this will be a problem. I have 3 swords.
I love this so much.
It's the same sword 3 times.
Is this like
backups.
who is this? Did you get this from like your favorite blacksmith? Are these like mass-produced swords? Like, what's the deal?
Yeah, these are like the Bic pen of swords.
I love
these
that.
are like these are off the rack, closeout bargain swords, and I buy them in packs of 20. 20 is maybe a lot. I buy them in packs of 5, but I can only carry 3.
Great.
And then, so I didn't know what sort of. I have a magic flask as well, and I was not sure what sort of thing you put in a flask in this game. So I was searching. It says you can put it with the spirit of your choice, and so I Control F spirit, and the second thing was spirits are ethereal creatures who do not have physical bodies.
Yeah.
Think of them like ghosts who float through the world.
Oh
Many
my
spirits
God.
are invisible. Animals, bosses, minions, commoners, plane. I will have a ghost spirit, please, and
I'll
not
allow
a liquid
it.
spirit.
I'm allowing it.
I have one written. I might change that. I just
sleep on it.
I'm gonna sleep on it. I had that there just because it's the premise, not the specific thing
Right.
that I'm.
The specific I haven't found the exact one of these things, but if the original hand cannons, which are literally a gun that is shaped like a quarterstaff, basically, are basically what I mean here. For Roan, if you search for handgun, Gonne, one word, you'll find some of these things. The real ones would probably break if you use them as a quarterstaff to hit people with, but for our purposes, it's cool. And I've taken that twice because I don't want to spend one slot to get both a cool melee weapon and a cool ranged weapon. Plus, it's like, hey, the gun part could break separately from the staff part, so that's good. Does anyone else have theirs, or is that everybody's? Are we done?
I have my one.
What is yours? Mana.
I'm just writing the last description out really quick. So, first of all, just from the book, I took the friend flute, which is the small magic whistle that knows who your friends are, and when you blow on the whistle, only your friends can hear it. My weapons are a knife. Description, it's a knife, deals 2 damage.
Good.
My light staff is another one. More of a walking stick, suitable for whacking as well. Deals 2 damage. And then my third weapon is the fancier knife in her boot, which is the nicer knife that she doesn't want to use as much, and that also deals 2 damage.
What she used the knife for? Is it just like, this is a good knife?
It's just like decorative. It's just cool.
I got you.
She's just this is neat.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I love this.
She whips it
comes
to
up with
play
a
with it
different
during
lie.
the idle animation.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The idle animation knife, and you're like, well, why can't I use that? And the answer is because you don't have the attack animations for it. We have them for the regular
she doesn't want
ones.
to.
She doesn't want to.
We wrote it into the story.
God. All right. Is that everyone's equipment stuff? I think it is.
Yeah.
All right. So, the ability catalog. Choose your path to greatness. Have you ever closed your eyes and wished for something magical to happen? Perhaps to talk to the animals, to grow wings and fly, to become invisible, or travel through time and space. Quest is a magical place where those things are possible. In this section, you'll discover all the special abilities that make each role unique. In the next few pages, you'll learn important rules and keywords that explain how abilities work. Really quick, I'll note, everyone should have 10 hit points, and I believe everyone starts with 10 AP, 10 adventure points, but I'm double checking. Where is it? Why did I think that came up earlier? 12 things, got that. Yes, everyone starts with 10 adventure points. I say this because as you start to look at your kind of playbooks, your ability catalog, depending on your role, you'll see lists of abilities. So for people who, again, don't see the book in front of them, there are for each role a number of pages, each tied to a sort of actually, let me just read from the book. Choose 6 abilities from your role from this catalog before starting the game. This is your starting set of abilities, and you can use them in your first session. At the end of each game session, you may choose one new ability to learn from the catalog. So at the end of every session, you're going to level up and get a new ability. Learning paths. Abilities belong to learning paths like the Ranger's friend path, shown below. Below is an image that says friend, and then it has a list of abilities. Speak with animal, animal partner, courier, pair bond, whisper on the wind. That goes from left to right. There is an arrow indicating that it goes from left to right. You can learn abilities from all of your learning paths. You don't need to learn all of the abilities in one path before learning abilities in another. For example, you could choose the first ability from each path to start the game, or learn a bunch from 1 or 2 paths. You can learn as many or as few abilities in each path as you want, as long as you learn the new abilities in order. In the example below, if you wanted to learn pair bond, you'd first have to learn speak with animal, then animal partner, then courier. Legendary abilities. There are some abilities so powerful and rare that you can only learn them if your adventure provides opportunity. Your guide will decide when and how your role's legendary abilities can be learned. Finally, adventure points. If you see an ability in the catalog with an activation cost, you must spend AP to use that ability. When you spend AP, adventure points, to activate an ability, you must immediately deduct it from your adventure point balance. Then there's examples of what those look like. So there's like a little kind of arrow tab thing that says 3. Activation costs look like this. This ability would cost 3 AP to use. Some abilities can be used in different ways and have multiple activation costs. So for instance, 2 adventure points. 4, you create a small bolt of flame. 4, you create a huge fireball. If an activation cost has X, it means you may choose to spend how many AP you want to on the ability. And if it says 0, it means that if an ability's features has an activation cost of 0, you can use it without spending AP. As the spy, there's a note here for you specifically, Odette. The Spy's Toolkit. The Spy is a master of practical means and is the only role that can craft bespoke magical items. These items are listed in the catalog alongside abilities, and the Spy can acquire them at the end of a session like you can any other ability. However, these items can be lost or broken like any other object. The Spy may spend 2 AP to rebuild a lost or broken item. Items must be rebuilt during downtime in the story. Other creatures may hold the Spy's items, but only the Spy can activate their magical capabilities.
And that's specifically for skills that have like you made the thing. It's not just like in general across the
Yeah,
board,
like I don't
right?
think you have like a skill.
There's one for like making a little magic gun. There's one
Yes.
for like
Making poisons.
weapons and poisons, and
Right.
yeah.
So yes to those. Whereas I wouldn't say you have one that's like unless you're actively searched by another creature, you can conceal up to 2 weapons in your clothing without being noticed. I don't think like that is an object that I would take away from you. You know what I mean? That's just
No.
a thing you know how to do.
That also doesn't have a cost or anything.
Exactly. Totally.
Just a thing.
Yes. Yes. So you get 6 of these. Again, you can pick them up from across your playbooks, your roles catalog, as long as you get them linearly. There's a list of other things that are like important on this page in terms of keywords. So if you don't know, you can look there or ask me, I guess. I guess these other 2 important things for these abilities. At the table, quote unquote, if an ability asks you to do something at the table, that means doing it in the real world. If you can't do it, that's okay. You may ask another player to assist you or just ignore the requirement. If you're uncomfortable performing one of the game's abilities, like reading poetry, you may describe how your character performs the ability instead of doing it yourself. So if you had an ability that was like, sing a song, but you're like, I'm not going to sing a song, don't fucking worry about it. Like, we'll find a fun way to talk about that ability without you having to sing a song into a microphone. Roll the die. If you see this badge in an ability, it means you have to roll the die to see what happens when you use it. Anytime you roll the die, there is a possibility of failure. As usual, the guide will declare what the consequences of the dice roll are, but if it's an ability that lists its own special set of consequences, the guide will use those instead. All right, let me also look at these and give Rowan some abilities. I think I know what they are, so that helps.
Do we know how this game is defining the word creature?
Yes,
Is
we
a
do.
creature like a non-intelligent?
It is not. No.
It's not. It's anything.
So, creature is one of these important keywords. Any sentient being, including both NPCs and player characters, people, humans, dogs, aliens, talking trees, yes, anything. So sentient there. Not necessarily sapient, because later in this list of keywords, animals is different. Animals are sentient creatures without self-awareness or personhood, like cats, dogs, giant eagles, and insects.
Sorry, what was that? The word for that one?
That's animals.
Oh, animals.
Yeah.
So all animals are creatures, but not all creatures are animals.
Correct.
That's one of those things. Like in D&D, creature would be like it would exclude sapiens.
Something, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not. I was like, wait a second, I didn't do a good job of that. There we go.
So that makes some of these moves much more useful.
Because it's not just
Right.
yeah. Let's see if this fixes this. Boom. Okay. If someone has all of theirs, let me know and I'll tag you in to talk about them.
I'm close. I was looking at these. I looked at these a few weeks ago when we first were looking at this book.
Yeah.
And I was looking at it earlier before we started. And I've got to say, they give you like a quick start guide.
They do.
And this is one of the better quick starts. Like, I'm having a hard time not
choosing the
following
ones that it gives you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it? I'm curious. Is it giving you a bunch from one thing? Is it giving you a little mix
No.
of stuff?
There's 2 that I'm getting 2 from, and everything else I'm getting 1 from.
Oh, that's cool.
But it's like hard to be like it's giving me 1 from inquiries, which is like sort of like mental. There's like psychic magic, seeing people's desires or seeing them across distances, and it's hard to be like get rid of soul gaze, where you can you can peer into their eyes and learn the creature's ideal flaw and the best and worst thing they've ever done.
Yeah, that's a good one. I wouldn't give that up
is a
for
good
anything.
one.
Yeah.
And then in the ones that they only have one in, I'm like, I don't really want the second one in this. I'm good.
I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah. Impression is you brush against a creature for a fleeting moment, feeling its desires. The guide chooses and reveals to you something specific that the creature routinely craves. You become cursed to also crave that thing and cannot use impression again until you fulfill the desire. When you fulfill it once, the curse is lifted. I think that sounds cool, but I don't necessarily want to be using that all the time.
Yeah. Yes. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. Add that. And I have one more. Oh, right, this one. I'm kind of dipping all over the place here. Copy that. Here's a hot tip for copying and pasting from this book. If you open up a browser tab and paste into the browser tab search bar thing, it will remove all of the formatting and put it all of those words and all of the line breaks. It will erase all of those and make them just straight out, so you can just paste it in.
God.
Sorry, I should have said
No,
that.
thank you so much.
Oh, I actually like that it's keeping most of these line breaks here. Oh, I see, though.
You see what I mean? Because sometimes
it's very narrow.
Yes, it's very
Yeah,
narrow, and I have
okay.
some moves that are long, and so they
Same.
scroll. I'm still keeping some of them in there because
Yeah.
you know.
Like, I like the bullet, like having those
Yes.
separate bullet points.
Yeah.
I don't want that gone. Okay, so I have a little wiggle room at the end. Do I want 2 magic attacks? Or do I want 1 magic attack and something else? And that's tough.
That's tough. This is tough. I can go ahead and read mine since I'm done, just to fill time a little bit. Roan has 6 abilities. 3 of them, I mean, everybody has 6 abilities. That's not unique to Roan. 3 of them come from the Camaraderie school, which is really an interesting school, I think, for fighter. The first is Summon the Blood. When you regroup, and regrouping in this game is whenever you... So I said before that you have 10 HP and that you have 10 adventure points. That's
10,
right.
10 in each?
10 in each. It should be 10 and 10. When you... whatever the thing is I just fucking said, chill out. It's probably not called chill out, right?
Regroup?
When you regroup, you regain up to the halfway point of your maximum hit points. For example, if you regroup while at 3 HP, you would recover 2 HP. If you regroup while at 0 HP, you would recover 5 HP. So you'd go up to your half. 10 is the max, so you'd go up to 10 or up to 5. I guess maybe there are some abilities or magic items that raise that. I'm not sure. Contrast that with resting, which is when you complete a full night's rest in a safe place, you recover all of your hit points. And while I'm here, I guess I should note that the way injury and death works is that when you get to 0 HP, you are then at death's door. That does not mean that you are knocked out. As far as I can tell, being at 0 HP does not take you out of a scene. It just means that you're at death's door until you regroup, rest, or heal.
Yeah, it said if you get hit while at
Yes.
0, you have a chance of dying.
So the way that works is you roll, if you get hit, however much damage you received, for instance, if a sword hits you, it does 2 damage. You roll a d20, you roll the die, because there's only 1 die in this game, and if you roll under the 2 that you got on damage, you would then die. So that's like a pretty low chance of dying, I guess, if you drop under 0. Also, this is another example of where this game needs to commit to a die, because rolling, for instance, a d12 or a d10 there instead of a d20 greatly increases the chance that you die. Rolling 2d6 greatly decreases your chances of dying because you can't roll a 1 on 2d6, which means you would never be able to die from a punch in this game. Anyway, these are the things that get under my skin sometimes about game design stuff, where like you gotta think through the ways in which stuff scaffolds out in your game. Anyway, summon the blood. When you regroup, you bolster the spirits of your party by reciting a poem. You must recite a poem at the table for your friends. You can write your own or read one from another author, like from a book, movie, or TV show. When completed, your party recovers additional 3 HP from regrouping. God, I think I'm just going to get a list of public domain poems, and Roan is going to have a book that they bought from that, like, is the sort of poetry that's in this game because some programmer or writer added a bunch of public domain poems to it. Maybe I'll write my own sometimes, but that seems fun. That's my first ability. My second, also from the camaraderie school, is Valiant Soliloquy. You inspire your allies with a rousing speech. You can write your own or borrow one from a play or movie. It can be short. Reading a few powerful lines is enough. And when you do that, you must give the speech at the table. When you complete it, each member of the party gains the option to redo their next roll. This option expires at the end of your scene if it has not been used, and that you can use in combat or in an action scene, and not just during the regroup. That costs 2 AP. War Story. Once per game session, you may earn 2 AP by recounting a battle from your past adventures. You can only use this ability during a downtime in the story, like when you regroup or undertake a journey. You can't spout history during combat. You must recount a different conflict each time you use this ability. If there's no battle to recount, you can make one up from your character's past. This is important because gaining AP is really rare in this game. You get 5 per at the end of the session. The book says, for hanging out with your friends. The guide, the GM, can give additional AP from time to time for like doing cool shit, basically.
Big assumption that your party members are going to be your friends.
Damn, get them.
Damn. I'm just saying.
Adventure points.
It happens.
Yeah, I guess so. You earn 5 AP at the end of each game session as a reward for spending time with your friends. The guide may also reward players with AP for role-playing well, solving puzzles, defeating villains, reaching goals, or encouraging fun. So, play fast and loose with that, I think, as a guide. Then I have 2 abilities from the first school, the dueling school. Counterattack, which is a 0-cost thing. When an enemy within reach rolls a tough choice or worse on a basic attack against you, and I think that's a 6 to 9, a 5 to 9, if I remember right. It's been a second since I've looked. 6 to 10. You parry their attack and take no damage. If they roll a failure or worse, you may immediately roll the die to make a basic attack on them. This counterattack does not count as a turn. God, that's so good. The fact that changes in a traditionally for everybody else, if the GM rolls a 6, they hit you. For a fighter who has this, they don't. They just don't, as long as it's an enemy within reach. So maybe makes me want to change one of these other abilities to be something a little more tanky. Because just having that extra 5 points of a roll being not a hit on me is really strong. Now that I'm thinking about it at all. The next one I was going to pick was Wild Attack. You attack with reckless power, disregarding your safety. Describe a signature style for this attack and what it looks like when you make it. A 20 is quadruple damage. 11 to 19 is double damage. 6 to 10 is you deal double damage, but the enemy counterattacks you. 2 to 5 is you miss, and all enemies within reach may counterattack you immediately. And 1 is your weapon breaks, which sucks. But
that's got some high highs and some low lows.
I love it. Yeah. Well, and another note. This is a great ability that explains or reminds me. There's no bonus to this. I don't check this against my strength score. I don't add anything.
It just
roll the die. Yeah.
You have 10 points and you can just put them.
Right. Exactly. One of the things in this game that made me realize it would be a good fit for this idea of an MMO where there's an asymmetry between PCs and NPCs was this line in the GMing section of the book called Only Roll Once. Because the chance to succeed is always the same in a die roll, it is not a test of skill, it is a test of fate. Players only need to roll the dice once to see what happens in a given situation. And that's really interesting to me, because it's like, I'm just this character in this world, and I'm kind of caught by the fate of the world. I'm not, or the programming of the game or whatever. I'm not able to like go practice my staff fighting skill and make wild attack stronger. I might have abilities that make the repercussions lighter, you know, but I'm not able to just like ignore that part of it. And then my last one is size up. You evaluate the capabilities of a nearby creature or group of creatures. The guide will give you useful insights into their capabilities, strength, vulnerabilities, and or resistances. At a minimum, you'll receive an accurate assessment from the guide about whether they would pose a fair fight. The guide will deliver this information to you narratively. For example, they might say, you notice the giant spider flinching at the sight of your torch, rather than just telling you that it's vulnerable to fire damage. But I might give up Wild Attack. I think I'm going to give up Wild Attack in favor of Provoke. Make a nearby creature angry at you by saying something or making a rude gesture. Your target must be able to understand your intent. For the next minute, the target focuses its attention on you, ignoring all others. The effect ends if the target is hit by another creature or if hostilities subside. And I think that fits Roan's Cultivate goal. Or cultivate, whatever the character thing was called. The thing I believe in, cultivation. Cultivation, yeah. I'm more than Wild Attack. I'm like, I'll get Wild Attack at some point. That Wild Attack seems fun. But with the power of counterattack, I feel like it's hard to miss this idea that like, oh yeah, Roan is like, you know, an older veteran fighter who wants to keep the people around them safe and help them become, you know, the next generation's great heroes or whatever. So I'm going to switch that to Provoke. Is anyone else done?
I'm done.
Tell me about your abilities.
All right. So, reminder, I'm playing the Invoker.
Which is like, we haven't said this, but the Invoker is very much like Paladin-y in some ways.
Yeah, like a paladin, like a mage paladin.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. More magic-y, I think, than what we think of as paladins.
Yeah. It actually even gives paladin. Actually, it says right here, the Invoker is a good choice if you want to play a character who channels greater truths to achieve their goals. They can be devout paladins serving a righteous god, oath-keeping warriors, quixotic vigilantes, or dark knights. So my first sort of path here is Invocation. I have the first two there. Declare, which is 0 action points. Once per scene, you may declare a reason for intervening in a matter, stealing your resolve. The reason should be based on your ideal and the scene's context. For example, if you believe in order, you might tell highway robbers that they're breaking the law, or if you believe in honor, you might say there's no honor among thieves. Choose one result. You immediately make a successful basic attack on a nearby foe. You compel an NPC to explain what they're doing, but they may lie to you.
Great.
Or you convince commoners to leave.
Sure. I've
seen that a few times. The commoners thing.
Yeah.
What is that?
I think that's people in our world or in the book Quest.
In the book Quest, what do they mean when they say commoners?
Normal people, common animals, or other average creatures. Think of them like extras in the background of a movie.
Wait, so like your neighbor or a squirrel?
You know, commoners. Yeah.
But I mean, in this world, your neighbor could be a squirrel.
That's correct.
Sure,
that is true.
Your neighbor, the anthro squirrel, or the regular animal squirrel that lives in the tree.
Yes. Yeah. Just as a note again for people who do not have access to the world building document that I sent to the players of this game, I noted that the species included humans, animal folk like mice men, humanoid birds, man-sized sweet frogs, and more. Think Redwall. Bee people, we don't really love beeple. Spirits, ghastly or legendary, so long as you're currently constrained to a mortal form that can do the moves of your class, go for it. Animals who are animals but they talk. Does a leopard wear pants like this or like this? And magical robots. Some of them defend ancient ruins, others run your local guild counter, so some probably do adventure stuff too, right? And then other fantasy stuff. I checked, and we definitely had, like, goblins and gnomes and giants, and probably some fantasy races that don't start with G, too. Gelves is funny, though. I'm still mad no one's played a Gelf. What keep on going here.
I've got a petition here, which is 2 AP. When you regroup, you may close your eyes and calm your body. You recite a short petition and receive a boon. You must recite a petition at the table that contains all of these parts: an address line, like "In the name of the gods" or "For the love of wisdom," or a request like "I ask for strength," an adulation like "For I am your humble servant," or "For you are the truth." When you are finished reciting the petition, all of your hit points are restored.
I'm happy that this is the Sailor Moon in the name of the moon. A move here. So.
And then.
Hey, wait, what's that do? Oh, you receive a boon.
I receive a boon.
It does not say what the boons are, right? There's not like
it says when I'm finished reciting the petition, all of my hit points are restored.
Oh,
so it seems like it doesn't matter what I ask for. It seems like the boon is that I'm fully healed.
That's huge. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, it is huge,
yeah,
but I kind of wish there was more options.
I'm gonna add that here because it does not. You did not add that into the word where it says this happens. There we go.
Where? What do you mean?
You did not include where it says when you finished reciting the petition, all of your hit points are restored.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
No, it's fine.
I
like, well, what do I?
In my copy.
What do you get for it? You know. I think that whoever GMs this should, whenever you're in a game, and I'll be GMing, probably a bunch of these, boons are broad,
Okay.
So
you're saying I get a boon and I get hit points?
Probably.
Or.
Let's say or. Let's say or.
Okay.
I would like to say because I don't want to cut into other people's abilities. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, keep on going.
All right, we've got inquiries here. This is the next path. I have the first one here. Soul Gaze, which is a die roll. Your eyes turn black. I read part of this. Your eyes turn black like shimmering gateways to eternity as you peer into the eyes of a nearby creature. They become momentarily transfixed on your gaze. On a 20, I learn the creature's ideal and flaw. I also learn the worst and best thing they have ever done. On an 11 to 19, I learn their ideal and flaw. On 6 to 10, I learn their ideal and flaw, but one is false. And then on a 1 to 5, they resist my invasion and briefly glimpse my recent thoughts.
Cool, good. I'm glad that can blow up in your face.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this next one also from the inquiry?
No, going down to verdicts.
Okay.
I have inspire for 1. You inspire a nearby NPC to recite a meaningful statement to them. You may invent a famous quote or proverb or borrow one from the real world. The creature must be able to hear and understand you and cannot currently be hostile towards you. Until the end of the day, the NPC shapes their behavior around their ideal and cannot fall victim to their flaw.
That's interesting. They changed this move. There was a previous edition.
This is my weakest link move.
They fixed this move, is what I would say. Let me see if I can find the original one. That fucking sucked. That I was kind of pissed about. I'm gonna read it just as like evidence that this is like an ongoing thing, and people have been giving them feedback. There were a number of moves for sure that were like, wait, what are you saying with this move? This is a little weird. Let's see. You know what? No, it was not inspire. There's another one. One second.
Is it one of mine?
I thought it was one of yours, but
okay.
You know what? If it comes up, it comes up. The long and short was it was a similar thing to this, except that it very much was like I remember the keyword to look for here. There's a spell on the doctor class called Relieve. You say something comforting to a nearby creature, alleviating them of anxiety, pain, and discomfort for 1 hour. In this state, the creature cannot be affected by fear or confusion. For a brief time, they feel better than they've ever felt before. So far, okay, cool. The next line was, this spell has an addictive effect. If you cast it more than 3 times on the same creature, they will obsessively seek it out. Like, what? Is that... What? Your experiences with therapy have been different than mine. Mostly, it's really hard for me to do still, even though I know it's good for me. That's, for instance, an ability that no longer says that in this game. They fixed that. That's just gone.
Okay. That's
anyway,
good.
I thought that was inspire. but it is not.
This is still my weakest link one.
If between now and when we play a session you want to change it, I'm happy with that. I'm not gonna lock you in.
We're down to Wrath. These are my attack moves.
Okay.
I have Fiery Avenger. Choose a phrase to use for this spell. It costs 1. You speak the phrase of power, igniting your weapon in a magical flame of any color. While the weapon is on fire, it acts as a torch that casts light nearby. The flame increases the weapon's damage by 1. The flame persists until you roll a failure or worse on an attack with that weapon. You may dismiss the flame at any time.
That's useful. Just an extra
That is
damage in a
useful.
system where like 2 is what swords and guns do is
Yeah,
good.
it does. Yeah, it makes it makes my sword 50% better.
Yeah. Then
Thunderous Word. Choose a word to use for this spell. You speak the word of power, releasing a thunderous shockwave in the direction you are facing. The wave knocks up to 3 creatures backwards and hits them each for 2 damage. Creatures affected by the spell are briefly dazed and cannot use special abilities during their next turn. I think this move is extremely powerful.
yeah, that seems really good, especially because that
I can do 6 damage and prevent 3 special abilities.
yeah, the special abilities are the way that NPC enemy types work in this game is that I kind of would have like sort of like a they each kind of have a creature card is maybe one way to think about it. Where they have like special abilities written out and additional like aspects of who they are. So for instance, let me just pull one up really quick. If I looked at this layout is weird. Why does this not have? Sorry, this is like for printing. They're like monster list is meant to be printed out, and so everything is like sideways and stuff, which is kind of annoying. Life Tap, for instance, is an ability in this game that lets you like suck the life out of player characters if your NPC hits it. When the creature damages an adversary, it recovers hit points equal to the amount of damage dealt. Being able to shut that off is very good. You have shield written here too. Is that because you're going to change that out, or what?
Do I have 7? Did I take one that
took
wasn't
one more. Yeah,
okay.
you took an extra one.
Shield is okay. Then maybe I'm getting rid of Inspire. Then maybe that
taking
wasn't
Shield.
on my list.
Okay.
Yeah, taking Shield instead. Forget Inspire. It was my weak link. Mm-hmm. What did I add? Yeah. Okay.
Do you want to read
Yeah.
shield?
Yeah, Shield. Sorry, didn't mean to read one that I didn't actually want. I was reading it and I was like, this doesn't sound super familiar. And I guess it's just because I went to the wrong one and copy and pasted it and then was like, I guess that's real. Shield, 1. You may summon a magical shield that appears as an aura of soft light around your body. The shield blocks up to 3 points of damage. Any damage dealt in excess of 3 HP passes through the shield and hits you. And now this part I'm a little bit confused on. The shield lasts until it takes 3 or more damage in a single hit.
Yeah, it's very strong.
So this means that if I get hit with 2 damage,
It doesn't break.
it doesn't break, and then the next turn,
Yeah,
it's full strength.
I believe that's the next.
The shield lasts until it takes 3 or more damage in a single
I think
hit.
that's true. Yes, I think immediately it still exists. So basically, it's very good at protecting you from weaker enemies. The thing to note is that like veteran enemies or big enemies are going to do more damage than that, right? The way it basically works is like commoners have 2 HP and do 1 attack, minions have 4 HP and do 2 damage, bosses do 4, right? And even minion class characters can have special abilities or can have some additional trait that gives them a little bonus damage. But it's still very good. All right.
Yeah.
Odette or Mana? Do y'all want to do your stuff?
I've got mine ready.
All right. Let's hear from Mana Mix-Up.
So I decided to go like all in on one of these schools for
Okay.
like 3 of my moves. So
You are
in the
again. You are
magician,
the magician. Do you want to read the magician
yeah,
what the magician's
like
breakdown is on 83?
yeah, sure. The magician flicks their wrist, delighting an audience with a parade of illusory animals. They mesmerize an adversary, freezing them in place. They peer beyond the eyes of another, entering their dreams and shaping their reality. Choose the magician if you want to use spells that affect the mind and the senses. This role is a great choice for people who want to play a dazzling performer or a devious manipulator.
Ah, I
What
see,
about both?
Sylvie.
Um, so I went all the way in on the mannequins learning tree.
Ooh, okay.
The first ability is splitting image, 1 AP cost.
Mm-hmm.
You vanish momentarily, reappearing with 2 illusory duplicates at your side. Your duplicates travel alongside you and perfectly mimic all your movements. If a creature attempts to target you, the guide must flip a coin. If it turns up heads, you are targeted. On tails, one of your duplicates is targeted. If one of your duplicates takes damage, it disappears.
Amazing. So you get 2 duplicates from that, which is great. So you get like 2 potential misses.
Yeah.
Great.
The next one is called Phantom Menace.
Great.
Which is 2 AP.
Uh-huh.
You read the mind of a nearby NPC and produce an illusion of a creature they find extremely irritating. Only you and the target of the spell can see and hear the illusion. For the next 10 minutes, the illusion relentlessly mocks and taunts your target, provoking their full attention. You may
Nice.
control the illusion directly and have it manipulate small objects. For example, you can have it steal an item from the target and lead them on a chase, or you may let the illusion go wild, allowing the guide to narrate its behavior.
Fantastic. Good.
And then finally, this can cost 3 or 4. I'll read
Okay.
when it can cost 4 at the end. But illusory creature, which standard cost 3, which is imagine a creature. You create
Period.
a
I love
convincing
that
illusion.
sentence.
Yeah, I
Imagine
know
a
it's really
creature.
good.
Yeah.
You create a convincing illusion of it that appears nearby. It looks, moves, and sounds like the creature you imagined. It even feels real to the touch. The illusion is 6 HP and vanishes at 0. The illusion can behave independently and travel away from you. You can program the illusion's routines. For example, you may have it clean a house, patrol an area, pretend to be busy, or give it a combination of tasks and behaviors. You can also set rules for it, like don't harm anyone for any reason, or don't let anyone pass through this door. You share a telepathic bond with the illusion when it is nearby, and you can control it directly during your turn. You can make it move, act, and speak your lines. It can hold and use weapons to make basic
I
attacks.
can't believe you hacked the game to create
I know.
an NPC of your own.
After 1 day, the illusion will automatically travel out of sight of other creatures and then vanish. This is when it costs 4 AP. This spell costs 4 AP instead if you use it to create an illusion of a creature that already exists. You create a perfect double of the creature that looks and sounds like them. It can fool anyone but the creature's closest friends and family.
Great. Definitely can get up to some fucking hijinks with
Yeah.
that. All right. Then you have 2 more? 3 more? 3 more.
3 more. So next I have I believe the next 2 are from this Misdirection playbook. Yeah, they are. I have Magic Tricks, which is 0 cost. You produce a tiny magical effect to surprise, delight, or confuse those around you. Choose any combination of these effects each time you use this ability. Light, you create a harmless display of light, like a flickering flame or a pattern of sparks. You can also snuff out or ignite small light sources like torches. Sound, you create a small brief sound effect, like a wind chime, an audience clapping, or someone whispering. Smell, you conjure a smell of any kind, like a freshly baked pie or a cesspool.
Cool.
Yeah, great. Touch, you give 1 or more nearby creatures a gentle physical sensation, like someone tapping them on the shoulder, a chill breeze, or the feeling of goosebumps.
I want to note something here. Actually, you keep going. Keep going, and then I'll note something at the end.
Okay. Mesmerize, which is 1 cost. And you dazzle a nearby commoner or minion with an optical illusion. The creature must be able to see. Until you leave the area, the creature cannot move, take actions, or respond to conversation. The spell ends if the creature is harmed.
Okay. And finally.
Finally, I have Magic Eye, which is 1 cost, and you briefly gain the ability to see beyond physical reality. For the next hour, you are able to see the following. Magic, a faint aura surrounds any person or object currently affected by magic. Or illusion, any illusory creature or object slightly flickers, but you do not see its true form.
The thing I want to note is none of your abilities require you to roll the dice. If you want to create, if you want to imagine a creature and then make an illusory version of it that works, that does things, that just costs you AP. If you want to see through magic or create some sort of magical trick, you can just do that. If you want to like meet the shitty mayor of a town and then create a version of that mayor that convinces everyone except their closest friends and family, that just costs you 4 AP.
Yeah. That's why I really like this playbook, too,
Yeah.
is because it's really flexible without having to rely on chance stuff. It's just AP management while playing.
That's really cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mana Mix-Up.
No
I can't wait to
problem.
see your. I feel like you should have a stage show. And I think that you.
That's why I laughed when I said I could conjure an audience clapping.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Great.
A
Perfect.
great night on the show again. Clap, 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 clap. Every night's a great night at the Mana Mix-Up show.
Oh, I guess we're all clapping.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Odette Van Ives, the Christmas Spy. Tell me about your abilities. Also, I guess read me Spy first. Also, are you gone or muted? Perhaps. Janine, you're muted.
I'm muted.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's fine.
The spy smiles and offers an uncanny greeting, walking through the front door with confidence. They slip in and out of the shadows, striking foes when they least expect it. They craft remarkable bespoke tools that give them an edge in their pursuits. You should play the spy if you want to roleplay a supremely skilled character who relies on practical means to achieve their aims. It's a great choice for playing a secret agent or a roguish assassin.
Or a Christmas Spy.
Or Christmas spy.
All right.
So the first one I took is from the termination tree.
I love a Christmas Spy.
I love a Christmas termination. It's sneak attack. Once per round, when a nearby foe attacks a creature other than you, you may exploit their focus. You may immediately move behind them to perform one of the following actions. For 1 AP, you make a basic attack on them. For 1 AP, you incapacitate a commoner or minion by touching one of their pressure points. They fall to the ground unconscious for the next 10 minutes or until they are harmed.
Yikes.
Oh my god.
3, you kill a commoner or minion instantly. Describe how you take them out.
Done. It's not.
so
A thing I like about this is it's not. There's 2 things I like about this. One is it is not the tradition. It's not backstab. It's not sneak up and do this to someone. It's when a nearby foe attacks a creature other than you. So it's literally like a reaction to one of your party members.
They're distracted.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
It's seizing that very narrow window of opportunity. It's
Yeah.
not about positioning
I think
necessarily.
that's really fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So the next one I took is from the concealment tree. It's strap. It costs 0 AP. Unless you are actively searched by another creature, you can conceal up to 2 weapons in your clothing without being noticed, provided you are wearing enough to reasonably conceal them. Let me tell you about leg of mutton sleeves.
Excuse
and
me.
putting a butterfly knife in your leg of mutton sleeve. Very easy to do, I'm sure, if you have sleeves that are built for it.
I really like the idea of Keith's character with 3 identical swords doing this, because they would show up at the place, they'd be like, hey, you have to turn these off.
2. You can have 2.
Well, I'm imagining there's one being worn in public, and so Keith would turn that one in, and then the person would be like, oh, sorry, we have to search you, and then find 2 identical swords in the sleeves. Anyway, please continue.
I went a little bit deeper into the tree that I think is most appropriate for this character, the stenography tree.
I love it. I do. You know, there are things about this game that I'm not in love with. One of those is not the fact that it has a stenography tree. What? Okay.
So the first one I grabbed, of course, is Dossier. It's a magic item, a magic book that copies things. You can make a dossier of any size, from a pocket-sized folio to a coffee table book. You can use the book to copy any kind of writing or drawing that is pressed against its pages. For instance, if you press a handwritten letter against one of the dossier's pages, a legible but imperfect copy will appear inside.
Ooh,
0 AP.
Love that. Love to just have basically a Xerox machine ready to go.
Yep.
The size
Yeah,
of
adds
any
a little bit of
size book.
artifacting, but it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
The next thing I grabbed from stenography was Mimic, of course, because you have to grab them in order. A magical pen that guides your hand to copy any writer's personal style. On the end opposite the pen tip is a magic stamp that can create forgeries of official seals. By bringing the Mimic within reach of a handwritten document, it automatically learns how to reproduce the document's handwriting styles, signatures, and seals. For 2 AP, you use the pen to create a single document forged in any style the pen has previously learned, including the reproduction of any official stamps or seals.
You would be a terror in the toy-making town. Truly ruining everyone's Christmas, honestly.
It's fine. I'm compassionate, though. I use my powers for compassion.
Oh, that's true. You are compassionate. That is true.
I also took in stenography Listener, a small magic gem that can be activated to record sounds nearby for up to 1 hour. If you have the cloner, I don't have the cloner, but you can use a listener into the socket and the amulet. The cloner intercepts other
I
transmissions, so
see.
you could make it record the transmission. Is basically what I'm getting at.
Right. Gotcha.
The device can record up to 1 hour of sound, and you can squeeze it softly to have it audibly play back the sound. Using the device to record makes it completely forget the previous recording. So for 1 AP, you activate the listener. It records anything it hears, paying particular attention to spoken words. It's like
It's yak back?
It's like a yak back, but a jewel that
Love
you
it.
squeeze.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
And the last one I grabbed is not from the impersonation tree. It's the entire impersonation tree because it's just the one thing in there.
Interesting.
It's persona. You carefully prepare a convincing alternate identity. You cannot create a persona of an existing person or the identity of someone who holds an exclusive position like the ruler of an existing nation. Each persona consists of a wardrobe, credentials, and a backstory. You may create and describe each element of the persona. When you use your alternate identity, you must outwardly present yourself as that person by wearing their costume. For 2 AP, you create the persona of a common person of average means, like a farmer, artisan, traveling salesperson, priest, soldier, or teacher. When using a commoner's identity, you can effortlessly blend into crowds and travel unnoticed in public spaces. For 4 AP, you create the persona of an officer, someone in a position of formal authority, like a politician, judge, military officer, guild leader, or ship captain. When using an officer's identity, you may enter restricted areas that your rank and affiliation gives you access to, give mundane orders to people you outrank, like running errands or keeping watch. For 6 AP, you create the persona of an aristocrat, like a prominent socialite, wealthy business owner, ambassador, or governor. When using an aristocrat's identity, you may enter exclusive spaces for the rich and famous, like private clubs or balls, seek audience with local rulers, spend 1 AP for a get-out-of-jail-free card that pardons you for minor crimes.
Hey, this is the hitman move, Janine. I'm spending
47 just fine. He's not. This is more. There's more craft here. There's more construction.
Have you heard how great 47 plays the drums? I don't know.
It's true.
This is very good. And Morgan J in the chat says everything a spy does and has is literally just like James Bond shit, but it's magical. This is bonkers. Yeah, it's sick. I really like it a lot. And yes, also Weston Humphrey says, love the implication that you can create the persona of a leader of a non-existent country. Like, yeah, that's the 6-step thing is basically like, yeah, I'm a governor of where? Yep.
You haven't heard of it.
You haven't heard, deep in the mountains of the March Mountains, there's another place. You don't know? It's
Flavor
beyond
Town.
the broom. Yep. Yes. God. All right. Well, those are all of our abilities and all of our roles, and all of our equipment, and I think that means we've made our characters here.
Yeah.
there is, from here I would then, start a session and go over where we're all from and stuff like that. But we're not going to do that today. I think this same group of people will probably do the first session. I have like a loose idea for a mission, but now that I know these three characters, I have enough info to start building, an actual session. So look forward to that. My guess is other people will make their characters maybe off mic if someone else wants to join that first quest session. I don't want to say like, well, no, you weren't part of the live stream, so you can't. But I did want to share some of what this character creation looked like with the folks who were around today. So I hope that was enjoyable. I'm really excited to get into this. I think the moves in this game are really cool, and we'll have a lot of fun with it. So yeah, thank you for hanging out and watching us today. Hopefully everyone has a good week and stays safe. I almost did the waypoint sign off because that's where my brain is at right now. Fuck it. We can say fuck capitalism, whatever. I don't,
When we were setting up, Austin said, hopefully this will take 60 to 90 minutes, which means it'll take 90 minutes to 2 hours. And so I told Isaac that means it'll take 2 hours to 2.5 hours.
And that's where we are. So
and that's where we are.
Yep. 100%. It turns out reading out moves takes longer than my brain thought it would.
It does, yeah.
That is what it is. Anyway, thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a great night.